Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first APA 7 workshop of this spring semester. I am V. Dozier, education librarian, resident APA expert for SOLS and for the Graduate Writing Center. So again, today we're going to do an intro to APA. We're going to talk about some APA tools that are particularly useful, the ones that I use, the ones that I recommend you use. And then we'll have a Q&A session about any questions that you have regarding APA 7. I know some of you will have formatting questions. You'll have questions about headings. You'll have questions about citations. Don't worry, I have the quick guide. I have my APA manual. I am ready, okay? And we'll spend most of the time answering the APA questions because that's what y'all came for. You came to get those questions answered. So that's fine with me. And the way that I do this, I am very conversational. If you want to interrupt at any point to ask a question, please do so. You can unmute or pop it into the chat. I will manage it all. Okay. Now, so for the short intro, APA 7 came into existence around October of last year, and or was it 2019? Either way, this pandemic year, we've all lost like the ability to keep track of our dates anyway. But it was around October, and because it came in the middle of an academic year, we had some discussions, in SOLS and Copley about when we wanted to really start offering training sessions and implementing APA 7 in the curriculum. And, for the most part, those of you who have started courses or, you came back from the 2019 year, we started fully implementing APA 7 into SOLS courses in fall 2020. Okay. And there were a couple of exceptions for people who may have been graduating in December of 2020 or whatnot. But for the most part, full implementation of APA 7 in SOLS classes from fall 2020 forward. So you should have some familiarity with it now. If your instructor chooses to be an exception to the rule, that's on them. That's called academic freedom. But the other thing about APA 7 is that the expectation of graduate programs and graduate courses in SOLS is that you are using the professional style template for your writing, unless otherwise instructed by your course professor. Okay. And the professional style template is the template that most closely models what a professionally published paper in APA style would look like. This decision was made consciously to help prepare you for the expectations of scholarly writing, okay, versus the student style paper, which looks more like, name, semester, topic, course instructor, and then it looks more like a research paper than a scholarly paper that we would produce on the graduate level. And we can talk more about what the differences in those templates look like, okay? Important things for you to know: how to contact me. People send me APA questions all the time, and that's fine. I am is what I do. So feel free to email me your AP questions. My email is here. And I also have appointments. Some people come to me for one-on-one or small group APA consultations. I have helped people, kind of scan through their papers. So no, I will not format all your APA stuff for you. No, I won't do that. But what I will do is say, you're having issues. You've been told that your APA, right, your APA formatting isn't up to snuff and you need some help with that. I can help walk you through, using some of the sample papers or a sample paper that you send and say, here's where your issues were. You weren't capitalizing correctly. Maybe your italicizing wasn't in the right place. Maybe you're using the wrong, punctuation in a space. So I can help you quickly see some of those top issues to help get you back on track. Okay. And let me drop the link back in the chat here, just in case folks came in after. FAQs, I get these questions all the time. Should I purchase the APA 7 manual? That's your business, okay? The APA 7 manual is a required text for many courses in SOLS, many programs in SOLS, but it's not my business to tell you what to do with your money, okay? What I will say is that if you choose not to buy the manual, then make sure that you have access to authoritative APA resources that will help you in its stead. And when I'm talking about authoritative sources for formatting, Purdue OWL is an industry standard. But there is some benefit in buying the APA manual, especially if you see yourself continuing in the scholarly world and publishing, because within this manual, you will see guidelines for the APA expectations for how you report particular types of research, what is expected, and what that research should look like. So everything from the minimum things that should be on a figure or table for qualitative research. All of those things are here. What does ethical research look like in APA style? What is the definition of a literature review or a meta-analysis in terms of APA? Okay. Those things are in here. It's not just about how do I format the reference for a website. And in all transparency, those of you who already know me know I'm real honest about things. The APA 7 manual was the first one that I bought since I was an undergrad and using MLA. Okay. So, but I bought it mainly because I teach it to you. And this is very new and the changes were very different. Okay. The other question I get a lot is if the citation managers, or also called bibliographic managers, have changed and updated for APA 7. And at this point, all of them have style guides for the formatting of APA 7 in text, or also called parenthetical, and reference or bibliographic entries. Okay. And I do recommend that you use a citation manager. If you are not already doing so, I'm happy to talk to you about my favorites, my least favorites, which ones are better at managing APA and other styles and which ones are not. So happy to have that discussion too. Okay. Now the tools, the APA resources here, and I have kept APA 6 resources on this guide just so that you'll have a comparison of things. Some of you are very familiar with APA 6, and because you are so familiar with APA 6, the differences of APA 7 can trip you up a little bit. So I'm keeping them on here just so you have them as a guide as well. And at Copley Library, we do keep copies of the APA 7 manual on campus. It's not super helpful right now. Most of us are off campus, but we do keep those on hand. The APA style blog is the official extension of the published manual. APA 6 was in effect for a decade. And when it was first published, no one was talking about how do I cite Twitter in a scholarly article because people weren't really doing that. But later, when people were considering and using social media entries in their scholarship, they needed to, or APA needed to develop a guideline for how do you cite these things that weren't in existence 10 years ago. And those items are posted to the APA style blog. Okay. And the same will be for the APA 7th style blog. Any major updates or new guidelines to the manual will be posted to the blog. Okay. Other things that we have available. Some introductory material here. If you know nothing about APA 7 and you need a quick overview, I recommend this academic writer tutorial, Basics of the 7th edition APA style. I already have it open over here. And this tutorial gives you a good overview of the different expectations of things that APA 7 will address, from paper elements to capitalization, in-text citations, all the things, okay? Gives you a quick overview. It's not a quiz type thing. It really just gives you a good overview of information. For example, capitalization. Most words in APA style are lowercase unless there is a specific reason to capitalize them. Okay. And then it tells you what we capitalize. So the first word of a sentence. Okay. Proper nouns. And we'll talk more about capitalization of racial and ethnic groups. That's still a bit of a interesting debate happening in some spaces about capitalization of racial and ethnic groups. Things like job titles and positions. This can trip up some people, especially when you are writing in a formal sense for, say, a letter of recommendation. Okay. Do you capitalize, Professor Dozier, so the P and the D, yes. But if you refer to me as V. Dozier, the education librarian, do you capitalize education librarian? Okay. And actually, following a name, no. Or referring to a position in general. So if you refer to me as the librarian, then no, you would not capitalize that. But because, depending on the context of the sentence, if you said V. Dozier, education librarian, that is a specific title. It's a specific type of librarian. So that would be capitalized. You see the difference? Okay. Others, for those of you who deal with instruments or testing, surveys or anything like that, okay, again, official titles are capitalized, but if you're just referring to a general testing instrument, then it would not be. Okay. And of course, nouns followed by numerals or letters. Okay, because you're making it a specific thing, you would capitalize that. But I found this tutorial to be quite useful in helping people grasp, basics of things that we've carried prior knowledge of from our different experiences. I've used MLA, Chicago style, APA. I've used a bunch of different styles over course, and sometimes they get muddled in my head. So this helps me refresh and reset. Okay.
Okay, my question is, will it be possible to send us this as a PDF? Somebody already asked that question. Is it possible?
This, tutorial? No, I don't think they would, because
this material you're using.
Not the tutorial, but I can send the quick guide as a PDF.
Yeah, or the link you are going, like, what was it? Like, I don't, that was, this is Manir, and I didn't get how you went to this part.
To which part? The tutorial?
Yes.
It's linked on the guide right here.
I think that's why we're seeing so many people.
Okay. We can copy the link and have it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everything that's linked on this guide is available for your personal use.
System that works with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities have really recording in progress.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So tutorial, awesome. I would recommend that you go through it, even if you think you know APA 7, go through it anyway, just to refresh yourself. Okay. Now, other tools. We've talked about the manual and its benefits. I am constantly referring to it. In fact, this is my second copy. I keep one, as I'm bi-coastal right now, so I keep one on Southeast coast. I keep one in California, so I don't have to drag it around. And the quick guide, I am regularly updating this guide. Okay, people are always asking me to add more information for how to cite something to this guide, or how does APA, what is the APA guideline for a specific thing? So I'm constantly updating this. And other tools, let's talk about citation managers. So the Zotero, EndNote, Mendeley, there are others that are in use in different spaces. Some folks are using RefWorks. That was one that I used way back in the day. Longer ago than I would like to admit. But RefWorks, and they basically all do the same thing. So how many of you are using a citation manager? Anyone? Okay, there's
Would
cool.
Grammarly be a citation manager? Grammarly? No.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Does check count? Like check citation machine?
Not well, for the citation formatting part, yes, but for the management part, so citation manager also houses the material that you're using.
I see.
Let's see, someone else. Okay, and all right, so I'm going to show you Zotero and Note. Here's Zotero desktop. And as you can see, I have quite a bit of information referenced in here. Whenever I am pulling information for various courses, various research projects, what have you, I am putting them in one of my citation managers. I use 3 currently. I am testing a 4th. And also, again, that's because I also teach them. But my personal preference is Zotero. It has a short learning curve. It grabs PDFs really well. It works with different browsers to import the reference material in. And each one of these little dots means that there is a document or something attached to the reference. As you see, when I import information in, it pulls in the citation information that I want so that when I'm ready to cite this material, this is available. Okay. And when I click, oh, that was a tweet. Whoops. That tweet might be gone by now, but that's okay. I can find one that has a PDF attached. Yep, like this one. So when I double click, it opens the PDF at some point today. And I can make notes on it. I can highlight, I can do whatever I want. And then I save it, and all of that saves into Zotero or EndNote. Okay, so here is my PDF. I can highlight whatever I want. If I save it and close, when I reopen, it will still be there. Okay. So for those of you who like to annotate on your PDFs, it's right here. Okay. But the connection to APA is that if I wanted to cite this item, I can do so. I can choose the style that I want. Whether I want the citation, or the bibliography, which means the reference. And I can choose how I want to save it. So in this case, I'll just copy it to the clipboard. I'm going to put it in a random space here. But when I press Control V, it cites the work for me. Now notice, if you have any knowledge of APA, there's a problem with this citation right off the bat. Anybody want to tell me what that is?
Yeah, it's all the capitalizations in that title. It shouldn't be capitalized.
Absolutely. So instead of changing it here, when it's linked to Zotero, because they also have what's called write as you cite tools, so you can cite as you're writing. In this case, I copied it so I could change it. Go out of. Where is my capitalization? Lowercase, done. Okay, I fixed that. But if I were writing, as I was citing, using the WYSIWYG or write as you cite tool, I would change information here. Okay, now usually the writing style guide that's sitting behind Zotero that tells Zotero how to format for all these different styles will catch this error, and your citation will come out, pretty accurate. You always need to double check though for situations like this. I would just change the information in here so that the next time I want to use the citation, it's correct in Zotero as well. Okay. Once you click off, it saves, sync, and you're done. Okay. Another way, because you don't just have to do one at a time, you could choose multiples, you could choose an entire folder and create a bibliography or reference list the same way. Or let's say I'm dealing with multiple screens here, which is why I keep looking around. As you see, Zotero has this extension here. Fresh. Here is a key note to using any of these citation managers when you're trying to cite as you're writing. The desktop version needs to be open when you do this so that Word and Google Docs has something to communicate with. Okay. And this has been having a hiccup lately, but I guarantee it usually works. But it's been having a hiccup lately, so don't blame me if this doesn't work well today. Yay, it's working so far. Okay, so I'm going to choose my style that I want. Search box pops up. I want to cite, sure I have somebody, Baker, cool. It gives me a preview of what the in-text citation will look like. Let's say I have directly quoted Baker and I need to add a page number or a paragraph number. You click on this bubble here. You have options. So if you are, if you have numbered paragraphs or you're on a web page and there's no pagination, and you need to say it's coming from paragraph 3. You can do that. When you press enter, that's what it'll look like. Or say you've already named Baker in your work and you want to suppress the author, you just need the page number or paragraph number. I'm gonna change it to page. You can suppress the author. So that's how you would do that. Okay. Let's say I need to add other authors. You can add multiple authors at one time. And I'm using Zotero as the example for this, but Mendeley and EndNote both do the same. It just looks a little different. So let's see, let me find another one. Oh, here's a multiple author one. It puts it in alphabetical order for me. And I could keep going. So after I finish writing my handy dandy paper and I'm ready to import my reference list.
I do have one question.
Mhm.
So that was just for multiple authors in a bibliography, not for in-text citation, because if you had multiple authors in text citation, you would only put the one author et al.
It depends.
Oh, sneaky.
Yeah, APA 7 does it differently now. So we have guidelines for if it is the first mention of the author, how did you format your sentence, all of that. So
Well, when I read, if it was a first mention of a book or a journal, and it has multiple authors, even the first mention is one author et al. That was one of the changes that I understood that I've been implementing.
yep.
Am I correct?
For
Okay, I just want to make sure at least I
3 to
understand that.
Yeah, for 3 to 5 authors.
All right. So if you have 2, you put the 2 there. But if you have 3, it's just the first author et al. And then the
Mhm.
here. Okay.
Unless
Right. Unless you have like this. Yes. Unless you have it the same and then it would look weird. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then there's also guidance for up to 20 authors now.
Correct.
So
Okay. Thank you.
changed. Yeah, we definitely want to pay attention to that. And that change comes from people receiving attribution for their work. Particularly in the reference list is more important now that the reference acknowledges all of the authors of a piece. And because most of us are in the behavioral and social sciences, you're not going to see very many works that have 20 authors. But if you're working on a group paper, you may have, 10. And previously, only 7 of those 10 would be acknowledged. It's kind of hard to prove that you contributed to a work if your name doesn't appear in the references as well. Okay. All right. So let's see. To the citation managers. So you see that you can generate your reference list. And I want to be clear that APA makes a differentiation between bibliography and a reference list. Okay. Even though this generic term bibliography is used all the time, when APA talks about the reference list, they mean the works that you have cited in the paper, in the presentation, in whatever, the things you have cited. The bibliography is everything that you have selected for a particular topic. So all your references on a topic. Okay. So just to make sure that everyone is clear on that, when you're talking about a bibliography in APA, you mean the resources that you collected on a topic. The reference list is what you have cited on that topic. Okay. And personal communication may be cited in text, but is not cited in the reference list. Okay. So let's say you have a letter that a person from a focus group wrote you about the paper or about your study, and you want to cite something from that letter in your work. Okay. That letter is not published anywhere else. That's personal communication between you and your participant. So that's, even though you would have an in-text citation as, whomever personal communication date, if it's relevant, that would not be listed in your reference list. Okay. That's one of those kind of tricky things that people have asked me about over the years, so I try to mention it, especially for those of you who are interested in qual studies. You may have personal communication coming from participants, or if you are doing some type of literary analysis of letters or something like that, and it's not published somewhere in the archives, then you would consider those types of things personal communications. Emails, if it's not publicly available, right? That's usually the consideration for personal communication, is that it's not publicly available in another space. And that's the difference between citing personal communication versus citing social media. Okay. You can cite someone's Facebook post or Twitter, especially if their account is public and not private. There are ethical debates about whether or not you should without someone's permission. But there is an assumption that if a person has a public social media profile, that they understand that there's a risk that their information may be collected in some type of way. Okay. Questions about that? Okay. Now, let's see. So citation managers, we've talked about, emote a little bit about that. And again, I recommend that you have at least one citation manager. If you are concerned about storage space, EndNote is unlimited and it is provided by the university. So you can download that for free. EndNote is relatively expensive on the private market. So if you get nothing else, get EndNote. And it has a lot of features. So Zotero was built to be an open source version of EndNote. So if you can become proficient in Zotero, it makes EndNote a lot easier to work with. Okay. All right. Now, it's 6:12 and I can transition to the Q&A part of this, and y'all can ask me any other questions that you like. So let me ask the group, would you prefer that the Q&A session is recorded or not recorded?
Not recorded.
Not recorded? Okay.
Not recorded. It's up to everybody else.
Anyone have a strong feeling for recording it? Okay, then I will end the recording here.